Welcome to my channel. My name is Tanya, and in this video I will share with you 3 common misconceptions of codependency. When I started this YouTube channel, I often got asked, Tanya, if someone is codependent, does it mean that I should not have a relationship with them? Or is it too risky if I get into a relationship with someone who has experienced trauma in their life that made them codependent? Let's get to the bottom of it together. I'm not codependent, not at all. Let's start with this. There is statistics that more than 90% of the American population demonstrates traits and characteristics of codependency. So it's always a little bit funny to me when someone tells me that I'm not codependent at all, I don't have codependency at all whatsoever, because we are all a little bit codependent. And usually, if someone tells me that, it kind of demonstrates a lack of self-reflection and self-awareness. Perhaps it's true that we cannot really compare how codependent we are, sort of degrees of our codependencies, but we're all a little bit codependent. And let me explain you what I mean. Have you ever experienced a fear of rejection or abandonment? Have you ever idealized your partner? Have you ever done things you did not really want to do just to make other people happy? Have you ever felt guilty because you prioritized yourself above others? Have you ever experienced that your mood depends on your partner's mood? Exactly. But this list is not to show you that, hey, something is wrong with you and you need to see a psychologist immediately, like go right now. It's not for that. It's just to show you that we are all a little bit codependent. And in my opinion, it's even maybe normal to demonstrate a certain degree of codependency. So imagine you live with someone, and I think it's totally normal if your mood depends on their mood a little bit. We're not psychopaths, right? So it's not like we live in a vacuum and we are completely unaffected by what's happening in our partner's life. So the point here is that we are all a little bit codependent, and if it doesn't paralyze your life and makes you dysfunctional, I think a certain degree of codependency is okay and actually is kind of natural. Codependents experience huge trauma in their life. I'm scared to get closer to them. The truth is, we're all a little bit traumatized, or maybe not a little bit. Even if you come from a seemingly perfect or normal family, your parents for sure have said something or done something that left its mark. There is also a huge misconception that trauma has to be dramatic. When you say trauma, people usually think that you come from a family where your father was an alcoholic and you had to take care of him, or your parents beat you up and you did not feel safe at home. Yes, what I just described is traumatizing, is devastating, and is a lot of pain, no doubts there. But in my view, normal or seemingly normal actions on our parents' part can also traumatize you. And let me explain you what I mean here. So for example, if you grew up in a family where your parents argued and disagreed with each other, you could take blame on yourself that you are to blame for these arguments. And to distract your parents from arguing, you could start playing a good girl or boy. But what I'm hinting at here is that this experience is perceived traumatic by you, not only because of your parents' actions, but also because of the way you are built and the way you are wired, because of your own genetics, because of your own predispositions, because of your psyche, because of the way the stars were aligned when you were born, whatever, because of something that is outside of anyone's control. So for someone, this experience can be fine, can be just neutral, but because of your own sensitivity, let's call it sensitivity, this experience can be something really big and traumatizing for you. And that's okay, that's not bad or that's not good, it's just how it is. I hope I'm making myself clear. The point that I'm trying to drive home is this. When you hear that someone experienced trauma in their life, please don't immediately assume that now you have a terrible, a borderline insane family-in-law and this person has so much baggage that it's just impossible to handle. It can be that what they call trauma is trauma for them, trauma how they perceived, but when you hear their trauma, you couldn't be like, well, I don't fully get it. I don't fully get why you are traumatized by that. Even if you think that, oh, if I were in their shoes, I would have reacted differently. Yes, you might have reacted differently, and that's completely normal because don't forget, we're different people, and that's okay. You probably should not put it in these terms that like, hey, I don't get why you call this trauma, because, I mean, it's another person's experience. And in my opinion, we should be respectful towards it, even if we don't fully understand it. We don't have to understand it, we just have to respect and acknowledge and accept it, in my personal view. When a codependent shared with me their story and how they want to be treated, I got scared. Here I'm referring to self-knowledge and understanding of your own patterns. If they're healing from their codependency, they're probably starting getting grasp over what works for them and what doesn't. And realizing and communicating your limitations is a strength, in my opinion, not a weakness. In my view, I find it really unfortunate that the world is full of non-self-aware people, and whenever you share with them your baggage and your trauma, they usually look down at you because they think that they don't have any trauma in their life. But everyone is traumatized. Everyone has their own trauma and their own baggage. If a person thinks that they don't have any, it's usually because that they haven't yet discovered it, or maybe it already has come to the surface, but they usually just cannot connect the dots that this event is happening now because of this event that happened in the past. So usually these people find it off-putting when someone shares their trauma and is being really open and vulnerable, because they're like, gosh, they have so much baggage, they have so much going on, they had so much going on in their childhood. Oh wow, I don't know if I can deal with that. Well, it's kind of hard to deal with something that you cannot accept about yourself. It's much easier to hang out with someone who has zero self-knowledge, who cannot communicate to you about their limitations, about their trauma, about what has happened to them or with them and how it affects their status quo and how they want to be treated based on that. But the truth is that the trauma of this non-self-aware person will come to the surface anyways, but because they're not self-aware, they don't know how to communicate this to you, and they don't know how to explain it to themselves even. See what I'm saying? It's not necessarily easier with people who have zero self-knowledge. It can be a bit less scary at the beginning because they don't tell you all this nitty-gritty details about their childhood, about their past. But then when you go deeper into a relationship, it actually can be harder. While with people who are self-aware, it can get easier because then you know what to expect and you know how to treat them because, they told you how. So the point here is that if someone has experienced trauma and shared it with you openly and honestly, don't look down at them, don't judge them, and don't think that they're less worthy because you haven't experienced any trauma and they have. You also have experienced trauma, and we are all traumatized and we are all damaged. We're all not perfect, and that, in my opinion, makes us very beautiful and unique. Okay, I'm gonna wrap up the video here. I hope that these points were useful to you and maybe a little bit like eye-opening or at least thought-provoking. So thank you so much for watching, and if you're still here, thanks a lot. I really appreciate you. If you like this video, then please give this video a thumbs up because it really supports my channel. Subscribe to my channel because I upload videos every single week, and leave a comment down below because I'd like to know what you think. See you in the next video. Bye!